Alison Moore is a prisoner in her own home near Catford, with every door and window newly locked and bolted. The 30-year-old primary school teacher is the target of a month-long campaign to hound her out of school because of the colour of her skin. 4 white youths kicked and punched her senseless as she was leaving the Sandhurst Junior School after staying late to finish some marking. The only black teacher at the school, Alison suffered cracked ribs, internal bleeding and spent 6 days in hospital. Even now she walks with a limp.
Their ignorance has been passed on from someone else. You know, you're born innocent, you're not born racist, you're not born violent. The attitude you learn the attitude, and wherever they got that from. It's very sad, and it makes me pity them.
A panic alarm is linked directly to the local police station after Alison received death threats through the post. She also has a personal alarm to ward off would-be attackers after she was confronted in the night by a man in a balaclava. National Front slogans were later found daubed on the walls of her home.
To live through this fear is something that I would not like anyone else to experience, because it is not very nice. It leaves you very tearful, very nervous.
Today, new perimeter fencing is being put up around Sandhurst Junior School to deter further attacks. The children play innocently enough, but they know what has happened. Alison has received scores of get-well cards from them, and she is determined to return to school. Another racist attack in southeast London, not too far from where Stephen Lawrence was murdered. That a primary school teacher should be targeted has shocked the local community, and in 10 days' time they will take part in a rally organised by the NUT, who are determined that racism should not divide schools. Every time she has been assaulted, Alison Moore has spoken out, denouncing her attackers. It may be the reason why the campaign continues, but she is determined to name and shame and not give in to the racist thug. In southeast London, this is Christopher Peacock for London Today.
Martin Powell-Davies is Secretary of the National Union of Teachers in Lewisham. Now, this is an appalling story, but presumably it's an extreme case, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. It's unprecedented, certainly in our knowledge, for a teacher to be targeted in this way. But clearly there are other victims of racial harassment in the area who perhaps are suffering in silence. And if nothing else, we want to make sure that people are aware that these attacks are opposed by the vast majority of people.
Now, there does seem to be little doubt that it was racially motivated. And if that is the case, then how can that sort of racial harassment be combated in schools?
Well, I think schools have a very important job. Clearly, racist ideas, unfortunately, are attractive to some people, and schools have to tackle those ideas head-on and explain how racism divides our society and divides communities, and it's in nobody's interest.
What is the school doing in this case? Do we know?
Well, clearly, there is an equal opportunities policy in the school, and I think the school is trying to make sure that it explains to pupils what has happened. But we certainly in the union want to make sure that those kind of resources are in the school. Some of the work that's been done in anti-racist education needs to be taken forward.
You're organising a day of solidarity, is that right? Explain a little bit about it.
Well, absolutely. We want to make sure that out of this, the community, teachers, parents and local residents have the opportunity to make absolutely clear that they are against these kind of attacks. And on April the 1st, on Wednesday, we are organising a rally in the local community centre in Downham after school, and we would want as many people as possible to come along and show their opposition to these attacks. I
suppose the sad thing is you can do as much as you can to try and change people's views, but you can never protect teachers completely, can you?
Well, absolutely not, and we wouldn't want schools to be turned into prisons, if you like, but clearly we're glad that security measures are being taken and that teachers do have to feel safe in their workplace.
All right, Martin Powell-Davies, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, time now for a little...
Primary school teacher should be targeted has shocked the local community, and in 10 days' time they will take part in a rally organised by the NUT, who are determined that racism should not divide schools.
The union and the local community wants to make sure it can oppose these attacks and show these racists that they are the people that are isolated, not Alison.
Every time she's been assaulted, Alison has spoken out denouncing her attack. Although she's having to move home, she says she will continue to name and shame racist thugs who've made her life a misery. This is Christopher Peacock for London Tonight.